For this week's Critical Thought, we have a very unusual topic, as we're once again getting back into the discussion of game ratings and age ratings when it comes to what games are appropriate to everyone. The recent Balatro ruling has once again called into question just how weird it is when it comes to reviewing games and what it means culturally and internationally around the world. Since the 90s, there have been regulation boards established to determine the content ratings for video games. In the United States, we have the ESRB. In Europe and international countries, they have the PEGI ratings. And this has served as kind of the rating system that adults, parents, and everyone uses when it comes to a quick judge of a game. Typically how it works is that the developer or publisher in question will submit the game to a rating. It will get played, as well as usually they'll send videos and something to show off the game, and then the board will make a determination that will then be used on all storefronts, store shelves, etc., etc. In a retail setting, that is, a brick and mortar store, your GameStops, Targets, Walmarts, and all that, those ratings are required. They are not going to have any game that is not rated be on one of their store shelves, unless, a child picks up a game that is certainly not meant for them. But the digital storefront has always been this kind of Wild West in that regard. Many games will get their game rated, especially if they're being ported to other platforms or getting a physical release, but for many of these smaller titles, especially from indie devs, it's kind of a nice to have but not actively required. However, laws have been changing in recent months, and in Germany, for instance, it is now legally required that your game have a PEGI rating, or they will not show that game on a digital store, which, in more countries adopt, is a very bad thing for smaller developers. So what has kind of caused a lot of annoyance and uproar over this is Balatro, the game that has taken home Game of the Year. It's one that has become the addiction for many people. Not addiction when it comes to gambling or playing active poker, but that did not stop the PEGI rating. So if you go to the site as of when I'm recording this in the middle end of December, it has a PEGI rating of 18, which puts it in the same space as games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. Apparently, games like Fortnite, League of Legends, and Tekken, along with Honkai Star Rail, are considered more age-appropriate than Balatro. And if you look in the kind of United States or the SRB, Balatro is rated E10, which means for 10 and up, which again is kind of a little bit weird in that respect. Now, the argument that the PEGI board is saying is that because it features poker hands and poker styles, that a kid can kind of translate this to playing real poker. With all the different jokers, being able to add 17 aces to your deck and stuff like that. And it's something that Local Thunk and a lot of developers are calling them out for. But this kind of brings up this point of the kind of hypocrisy when it comes to how games are being rated and shown to other places. Because when we talk about what is kind of dangerous to kids or harmful to kids, one thing that is just not being shown at all is, actual gambling in games. The entire rise of live service and mobile over the past 14 years, going on 15 years, has been a kind of wild west of what developers and studios can get away with. There's, of course, stuff like the Superhero Squad game that was done by Bazoom, I forget their name, that was basically kids can play a roulette wheel and get various rewards, and they can just input their credit card number or their parents' credit card number for additional rolls of that wheel. And this is not a big shock if you've been studying live service or been following trends. It's something that I've spoken with Ramin about many times, that there was this very active push to make mobile and live service games as child-friendly, as bright and colorful and festive as possible, to kind of distract from the fact that, yes, you get to input your credit card and then hopefully get something rewarding and amazing out of it. And it's very telling that games like Honkai Star Rail, Hold Me Yo-Yo First, NBA, Madden, those games that have their own kind of loot box or kind of microtransaction systems aren't being rated 18 plus like Balatro. And the argument that the PEGI board is using just does not really hold water in this respect. Because if you just show footage of games like this, if you show someone footage of Honkai and Genshin like they did during the Game Awards, you see bright festive colors, explosions, graphical effects, lots and lots of characters apparently singing. You know what you don't see in those videos? Someone rolling on a gacha banner, or having to convert money into premium currency to get rolls, and then watching that summoning animation again and again and again. And the entire, again, gacha industry, loot box, microtransaction, surprise mechanics, that's all gambling. It is an inherent form of gambling. You put money in, and you get a reward of random quality out. Now, defenders, of course, will argue that you're getting something when you spend money or you make a pool or whatever. But you see, the point about this is that there is a feature reward. There's a banner reward, whether you are playing NBA, 2K whatever, Arknights, Genshin, Limbus, the NBA 2K games, and so on. That there's a reason why you're pooling. There's a reason why there are many channels here on YouTube and many Twitch streamers who spend endless amounts of money trying to get all the highest cards and keep re-rolling. Whenever there's a new bundle or package, they are going to spend. And the argument that I can hear people saying is that this is not the main game. You're not, again, when you play a game like Genshin or Honkai, whatever, it's not a loot box game. It's not you signing on to spend money making pools. But the pools facilitate the gameplay. This is something that we've spoken at length about here with the growth and change of live service. That it's not about fun pain anymore or trying to make the game better. It is about how do we incentivize someone to spend money, and that is by tying this directly to gameplay. The better cards you get in a sports game, you can make your teams better. The better characters you get in Genshin and whatnot, gets you better stuff and makes you get further in the games. Balatro is a game that is, again, based on poker, but it does not play anything like poker. You can, after like 20 minutes of playing the game, you can definitely see that. When you get your first Joker, it's very easy to see that. But because people immediately see cards and poker and their brain goes to gambling, and I guess all the kids are going to go to Vegas after they're done playing it, it immediately gets shut down. And again, gambling is not the only cause for this. Again, here in the United States, there's always the discussion of, violence over sex. That you can have in a PG or PG-13, people being shot at, guns, killing, and all that, but if there's no blood, it's perfectly fine. You show two people having, romantic interactions, or even just kissing romantically, that can cause a whole lot of problem. And there's not really a agreed upon standard. Again, what is considered taboo in one country is considered perfectly fine in another. As anyone who's tried to play, M-rated games in Germany over the past 20 years can certainly attest to. Especially if they feature anything about World War II. Who knows, maybe this video will be blocked in Germany after me mentioning that. But this whole point really gets to, or really sends up the issue when it comes to ratings in games, especially what it means to interact with games today. Again, when we talk about easy games, there are some easy games that we know what the ratings are. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto is going to be rated E for everyone, and Mario Party will be for adults only, for the havoc that it causes. But as the medium has evolved, and so has the amount of storytelling and interactions, this means that there has to be more than just a cursory glance at a game, especially with the growth of live service. And this has been one thing that I think the ESRB and most of these rating boards have been woefully behind over the years. That, yes, a game like Genshin and so on doesn't have, gambling at the forefront. It's still a part of it. And it's a part that, again, is a major integration that affects how someone plays and consumes those games. Now, if you just, again, show someone 20 minutes of Genshin or 20 minutes of Honkai, you're not going to see that. And they don't really mark that. I double checked on the PEGI page, and I'll make sure to include a link to, or I'll put a screenshot of this at some point during the video. But they're mentioning, of course, you can purchase an in-game currency using real money. That doesn't really go beyond what that is. Yes, you can buy stuff in Genshin and Honkai and all that. It's still being used to get a random reward. There's a difference, again, between spending money to acquire a skin or a battle pass or whatever in a game like Fortnite or League of Legends. It's a different story to spend money to then get a random pool that may not be what you're interested in, with the actual banner reward being maybe, again, 0.07%. And this is one of those issues that it has been going on for a while now, and Balatro is just the latest example of this, but it does stand to reason that there needs to be some better or sweeping changes, and especially with the rise and educating people on live service design. Because there are a lot of live service games that, again, couldn't look any different from your normal, like, child game, E for Everyone style game, PEGI, whatever's like the younger rating, but is loaded to the bare with monetization elements all behind the scenes. And yes, spending money is in there, but they never talk about what goes beyond that. Now, someone may argue, well, let's just get rid of these rating boards, lock, stock, and barrel, and that's not really a good solution either, because we do need some kind of third-party organization to rate these games, and again, to provide that kind of like first interaction that a game will have to parents, to people buying these games, to someone who, again, is not going to be watching YouTube videos or reading magazines or online sites to figure out whether a game is right for them. It would be great if they did that, but most people don't have that time, and hence why these ratings are important, that someone can go onto Steam or watch it at Target or Walmart, pick a store, and see, okay, T, M, E. We're probably not going to get an AO in a store anytime soon. To wrap things up for this video, this is a topic that, again, has been brewing for a long time, and it, again, kind of cuts at that deeper issue, that a lot of people don't understand where the game industry is at today, in terms of storytelling, in terms of monetization, in terms of what it means to play and consume titles. Watching 10 minutes of a game doesn't mean anything if that game has some very disturbing and dark twists 3 hours in. Or that bright and festive game that looks like it would be the perfect one for everyone who's watched, I don't know, was it Paw Patrol, Bluey, whatever, but there's also a gachapon or gacha system with a 0.0005% chance to get that hat for your favorite character, and all you need to do is just get your parents' credit card number, or just sign into their bank and start making those pools. And for those of you watching, when it comes to kind of age ratings and stuff like this is specifically for the parents. How much do you pay attention to this kind of stuff when you're shopping for games for gifts, when you're shopping for yourself, for your kids? And do you do any more research beyond that? Because, again, the point of these organizational bodies is the very fact that it's supposed to be something that someone can just quickly associate or figure out yes or no for that experience. But the problem, as we've said, is as times have changed, as games have changed, it needs more than that. And maybe we do need like a separate like monetization rating for games these days. From one purchase and you're done, to you will probably have to sell a few organs if you want to afford everything in the game. And with that, we'll wrap things up for this video, which I'm sure will be rated E for everyone or maybe J for Josh when we get it rated. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.